Human relationships can be complicated. Sometimes people disappoint us, lie, or act in ways that leave us bewildered. The truth is that people are terrible. It's cruel, but it's true. However, the Stoic philosophers taught us something valuable: the importance of dealing with the complexities of life in society. The Stoics saw the philosopher not only as someone immersed in books, but also integrated into the reality of everyday life, dealing with the challenges that people and everyday situations bring. They believed that there shouldn't be a clear separation between philosophy and interaction with the people around us. Aristotle believed that friendship is a single soul dwelling in two bodies. He valued human relationships and the connection between people as something of great significance. So, how about absorbing some lessons from these ancient thinkers to deal with the complexities of human interactions? Today, I wanted to give you some Stoic rules, some lessons to get the most out of the people around you and not let the crazy and annoying things they do affect you. 1. Give less importance to people's opinions. Marcus Aurelius leads us to reflect on the obsession we have not only with current opinions, but also with concerns about future generations, even without knowing them. He warns about the futility of seeking posthumous fame, as those who aspire to it often forget that they won't be present to enjoy it, and that the future might be as superficial and inclined to value wrong aspects as the present. The philosopher Simone de Beauvoir, known for her reflections on existentialism and feminism, addressed this issue by saying, "Don't worry about what others think. After all, they don't do it that often." This perspective leads us to question why we attribute so much power to external opinions when the true measure of value is intrinsically linked to what we think, value, and defend. Socrates, one of the pillars of Western philosophy, taught the famous maxim, "Know thyself." He encouraged us to look inward, to know our own convictions and principles rather than seeking external validation. According to Socrates, this self-awareness was the foundation for a meaningful and authentic life. Conversely, Epicurus, a Greek philosopher, focused on the pursuit of tranquility and liberation from unnecessary concerns. He said, "Not what we have, but what we enjoy, constitutes our abundance." This perspective invites us to rethink our craving for external approval and to find satisfaction in simple and truly important things for us. Looking at these examples from the history of philosophy, we see a recurring theme urging us to focus on what truly matters to us rather than being consumed by the fleeting and often superficial opinions of others. After all, as Epictetus rightly said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Our perception and internal evaluation have the power to shape our worldview and ourselves. 2. Be honest. Marcus Aurelius guides us in this understanding by reminding us of the need to be honest and true, not only with ourselves, but also with those we encounter. His philosophy invites us to awaken awareness every morning, preparing ourselves for encounters with cunning, deceitful, frivolous, envious, and even ridiculous people. Plato, a disciple of Socrates, highlighted the importance of truth in his allegory of the cave. He suggested that reality is not only what we superficially see, but what lies beyond the shadows. This refers to the need to seek truth, not only in interaction with others, but also within ourselves. The philosopher Hannah Arendt, known for her analyses on the banality of evil, warned about the dangers of deviating from the truth and conforming to what is unjust. She said, "Lies have short legs." This phrase leads us to reflect on the importance of honesty as the foundation for a fairer and more integral society. Another thinker who addressed the issue of honesty was Immanuel Kant. He proposed the categorical imperative, which basically challenges us to act in such a way that we could desire our conduct to become a universal law. This implies being honest in all our interactions, regardless of the circumstances. A valuable lesson we extract from these philosophical views is the need to be honest not only as a moral issue, but also as a guiding principle for building genuine relationships based on mutual trust. After all, as Aristotle said, the truth is more evident when seen from different viewpoints. This urges us to be transparent in our actions and words, cultivating fertile ground for mutual understanding and personal and collective growth. 3. Don't take things personally. The ability not to take situations personally is one of the great lessons that philosophers left us as a legacy to deal with the complexities of human interactions. Marcus Aurelius, by questioning our own actions when we are harmed, invites us to an exercise of self-reflection. He challenges us to consider when, in our own lives, we acted similarly to what hurts us. In this context, Friedrich Nietzsche, known for his reflections on human nature, emphasized the importance of looking inside ourselves. He said, "When you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss gazes into you." This makes us reflect on how our perception and actions can reflect in our external world. In contrast, Confucius, a renowned Chinese philosopher, brought up the idea of reciprocity and empathy. He stated, "Do not do to others what you do not want done to yourself." This maxim leads us to understand that, just as we desire understanding and forgiveness when we make mistakes, we should offer the same to those who hurt us or make mistakes. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and existentialist philosopher who survived the Holocaust, talked about the importance of finding meaning even in the most adverse circumstances. He wrote, "Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. This invites us to act with compassion and understanding in the face of others' actions, recognizing the capacity to choose in how we react. By applying these teachings in our lives, we realize that often people's actions are not specifically directed to harm us, but can be a reflection of their own battles and difficulties. Just as we usually grant ourselves understanding and acceptance in our moments of failure, we can extend that same kindness to others, fostering relationships based on empathy and mutual understanding. 4. Have patience. The reflective work of self-awareness and self-mastery that philosophers propose has patience as a fundamental pillar. A prominent voice in philosophy like Epicurus invites us to rethink our relationship with time and difficulties. He emphasizes, not what we have, but what we enjoy constitutes our abundance. This reminds us of the importance of recognizing that impatience often arises from a longing for more than what we really need. Throughout his life, Epictetus faced significant challenges and difficulties. His own freedom was taken away, becoming a slave. However, he found inner freedom by adopting a Stoic mindset. He said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters." This Stoic wisdom highlights the importance of accepting external circumstances and cultivating control over our own reactions. Additionally, Albert Camus, an existentialist philosopher, explored the concept of life's absurdity. He stated, "In the midst of winter, I found there was within me an invincible summer." This inspiring phrase invites us to develop resilience in the face of adversities and to cultivate resilient patience, capable of finding light amidst darkness. Patience is not only an individual virtue, but also a powerful tool to deal with others. As Buddha said, patience is the tree from which sweet fruits are obtained. This analogy encourages us to cultivate this virtue because its fruits are undoubtedly beneficial both for ourselves and for those around us. Therefore, when facing the difficulties that human interactions and life present us, we can be inspired by these ancient lessons to find balance, understanding, and above all, patience. This attitude not only strengthens us internally, but also allows us to interact with the world in a wiser and more compassionate way. 5. Be an example. The idea of being a living example, not just a role model, but a source of inspiration for others, is a principle that resonates in many philosophies. Philosophers throughout history have emphasized the importance of living according to one's principles and values, acting as a beacon for those around them. Plato, a disciple of Socrates, expressed this idea through his famous theory of forms. He illustrated that true reality exists beyond the sensible world and that ideal forms should be followed. This implies living according to ethical and moral principles, becoming an example through one's conduct. Another example is the French philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau, who believed in the intrinsic goodness of human beings. He advocated that being good to others is an innate characteristic, but is shaped and developed by society. This perspective leads us to understand that by being positive examples, we can influence our surroundings for the common good. Lao Tzu, a Chinese philosopher, left us the Tao Te Ching, where he said, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." This thought encourages us to start with ourselves, to strive to be better, and thus positively impact those around us, one step at a time. Stoicism, which advocates living in accordance with nature, teaches us that acting according to our principles benefits not only others, but also brings us a sense of personal fulfillment and satisfaction. Epictetus, suggesting that we should embody our philosophy, challenges us not only to talk about our beliefs, but to actively live them. In this way, by becoming positive examples, we not only help ourselves grow, but also serve as a beacon to inspire and motivate those around us to seek goodness and virtue. This continuous practice not only contributes to the improvement of the world, but also enriches our own personal journey towards moral and ethical excellence. 6. Ignore the critics. The act of ignoring critics and adverse circumstances is one of the fundamental teachings that philosophers have conveyed over time. The ability to stay focused on what is right despite external influences is a valuable skill. Socrates, for example, faced harsh criticism for challenging social conventions and questioning established beliefs. He stated, "Know thyself." By focusing on his own quest for truth and ignoring the criticisms that arose, he advocated the importance of staying focused on self-development. The Indian philosopher Swami Vivekananda said, "They who see all things as nothing are more peaceful." This perspective reminds us that by giving less importance to what others think or say, we achieve greater inner serenity. On a similar note, Machiavelli, in his book The Prince, discusses the importance of ignoring rumors and focusing on what is essential for making political decisions. He highlights that, to achieve goals, it is essential to be aware of criticisms but not be influenced by them. Stoicism, once again, offers valuable insights into this issue. Cicero, in Jest About Cato, illustrates how Cato distanced himself from what was happening around him to focus on what was right. This teaches us that often true wisdom lies in discerning what deserves our attention and what should be set aside. Therefore, by following these teachings, we can learn to direct our energy towards what is truly important, filtering out external voices that may divert us from the right path. This does not mean being indifferent, but maintaining a clear perspective focused on what is ethical, virtuous, and beneficial for us and for others around us. 7. Be full of love. Love, often associated with sensitivity and compassion, is an essential virtue advocated by various philosophical currents around the world. Stoics, although focused on rationality and self-control, did not fail to recognize the importance of love and compassion in human life. Buddha, for example, preached compassion as one of the central pillars of his philosophy. He said, "Hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love. This is the eternal rule." This statement emphasizes the positive transformation that love can exert on negative emotions, leading to a more peaceful and harmonious mindset. Another example is Confucius, who emphasized the importance of interpersonal relationships based on love and kindness. He said, "Do not do to others what you do not want done to yourself." This principle, known as the Golden Rule, reflects the idea of cultivating a loving attitude towards others. Philosopher Simone de Beauvoir reflected on love in her existential works. She stated, "Love is not a contract between two souls that come together, but a challenge for each to develop their own personality to the fullest." This perspective invites us to seek personal growth and, at the same time, share love and mutual support. Therefore, the understanding of love goes beyond romantic emotions, extending to compassion, empathy, and solidarity towards others. By adopting a loving approach in our daily interactions, we not only promote a more positive environment around us, but also experience an internal transformation, nurturing a heart full of affection and understanding. 8. Stop comparing yourself to others. The practice of comparing oneself to others and the emotional burden it can generate is a theme addressed by various philosophical currents throughout history. The idea that comparison steals joy and inner peace has been discussed and reflected upon by several thinkers around the world. In Buddhism, we find the idea that comparison leads us to suffering. Buddha taught, "Joy is found in the journey, in the pursuit, not in comparison with others." This perspective reminds us that true happiness is not in surpassing others, but in seeking personal growth and inner satisfaction. The German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche addressed comparison in his works, emphasizing the importance of each individual following their path. He said, "He who compares himself to others can become vain or bitter, for there will always be someone better or worse than himself." Nietzsche highlighted the need to cultivate authenticity and uniqueness rather than seeking external validation. In a more contemporary perspective, psychologist Brené Brown discusses how comparison distances us from connection and authenticity. She states, "Comparing ourselves to others is our way of escaping the feeling of not being good enough." This leads us to understand that comparison often leads us into a spiral of self-criticism and insecurity. Therefore, as we reflect on these philosophical and psychological teachings, we realize that true satisfaction and joy do not come from comparing ourselves to others, but from accepting ourselves, valuing our path, and recognizing that we are unique with our own journeys and achievements. Focusing on the quest for authenticity, personal growth, and gratitude for who we are and what we have can free us from the emotional trap of comparison. 9. Value loved ones. A very close cousin who grew up with me once sent me a WhatsApp message saying he missed me because it had been a few years since we last saw each other due to the hustle and bustle of daily life. I kept postponing replying, and when I realized, days had passed without responding to the message. Unfortunately, a few days later, he passed away due to COVID complications, and I didn't even have the chance to reply to his message. He was just over 30 years old and had been into sports all his life. I never imagined he would be one of the victims, so I put it off. Marcus Aurelius, a major exponent of Stoicism, emphasized in his meditations the transience of existence and the need to value every moment and person in our lives. He wrote, "Life is short, the craft is long, the opportunity fleeting, experience deceptive, judgment difficult." This understanding resonates with the Stoic concept of appreciating the present because the future is uncertain. Epictetus taught about the importance of embracing the present moment and loved ones. He said, "Do not hesitate to say kind words, for it might be too late tomorrow." This reflection emphasizes the brevity of life and the need to express love and appreciation while we have the opportunity. The example of Seneca illustrates the essence of this teaching. He deeply valued personal relationships and friendship, dedicating time to be present and support those who were important to him. In his letters, Seneca emphasized the importance of living a meaningful and genuine life, highlighting that true wealth lies in human connections and caring for others. Looking at these teachings, we understand that life is ephemeral and unpredictable. We cannot assume that we will always have those we love by our side. Therefore, it is essential to nurture these bonds, express love, gratitude, and forgiveness while we have the chance. Not delaying kind words or gestures of affection can make all the difference in our relationships. Valuing loved ones and appreciating every shared moment is a central practice in Stoicism, as it reminds us of the preciousness of life and encourages us to live authentically and connected with those who make our journey meaningful.